What's up, guys? I'm Mike from StockedUp, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have some awesome news to go over in this video. In this video, we're going to be talking about all of the plays that we're watching in the market for this week, all of the news that happened over the weekend, and like I said, all the plays we're watching, plus a $9.3 million option for Tesla. So make sure you guys stick around to the end of the video, and if you aren't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. Tom and I post brand new videos every single day. But with that being said, Tom, what happened over the weekend?
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. There was some awesome news that dropped over the weekend on Saturday night that Congress had actually reached an agreement on the coronavirus package. And I think that that's going to be a big thing going forward for the markets. And you can really see on Friday how much the S&P popped to end the day. And I wonder if that can continue to the upside whenever the futures open up tonight or tomorrow morning, whenever all that volume comes in. And I'm really wondering if we're going to see a green day or a red day tomorrow. And I think that the biggest thing is going to be futures tonight, because I think futures are going to be a pretty big telltale sign on whether or not the market's going to go up or down off of this news. And although an agreement is in reach, lawmakers do not have one in hand yet, and it's possible that disagreements and stuff could still arise again and still delay talks. So just keep that in mind. But they do face a deadline of 12:01 a.m. Eastern time Monday to avoid a government shutdown. So they have to get this done before Monday night. And I think that I honestly think that they will.
Gotcha. So I know this news can be a little bit confusing. So Congress, they're in agreement, but have they actually passed the bill yet?
No, they have not actually passed it yet, but they're in agreement because they were in disagreement over the Federal Reserve's lending powers, and now they've actually agreed on that.
Gotcha. So I just wanted to clarify that. So yeah, that news is kind of weird. So at least they are in agreement, though. That is a good sign. It could be a lot worse, and the government can be shut down right now. But I guess even if they don't have an official bill set in stone yet, I guess just because they are in agreement, that is a good sign. So what's going on with Apple?
Yeah, Apple's actually going to be closing some stores in California. All of them, all 53 stores in California are going to be shut down, Apple's retail stores. And that's pretty scary to see, because I remember the last time Apple closed down all of their stores, me and you had talked about that might be a foreshadowing for other things shutting down, and it actually was. And they started out in California, I believe, the last time as well. So I think that honestly, Apple might start shutting down more stores in more states, and then more states are going to follow suit with this, and more companies are going to follow suit and actually start shutting things down as well. And then also, there's been a lot of news about the virus kind of mutating over in the UK and people stopping flights to the UK. So it seems like the virus is just ramping up more and more and more. And I think that this is going to be a big snowball effect, just like it was last winter. And we're going to see a whole bunch of restrictions start coming out again. But hopefully we don't, hopefully we can stay around where we are. But I think that just given everything I'm seeing in all these other countries and stuff, I think it's just inevitable that it's going to happen here.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good sign. I remember when the virus first started to really spread in the beginning of the year, we saw Apple start to close down their stores. Then it went to Starbucks, and it was a giant chain reaction, and it just definitely was not good for the market. So obviously, keep your eye on that news. If we start to see more stores shut down, that would obviously be a bearish sign for the market. So Tom, was there any other major news over the weekend?
Nothing too big, but there was some stuff about the FTC and Facebook still. So just keep an eye on a lot of these social media companies like Google and Facebook that have been really getting hammered by Congress lately about antitrust things and just stuff with people's data. So keep an eye on Facebook and Google.
Yeah, Facebook has not had the best last couple months. They've really been kind of doing nothing almost. Like they try and go up, but then they just get rejected, and then they try and fall, and then they hit support. So they're just kind of going back and forth, and it's just it's a weird setup right now. So
Yeah,
now,
definitely. It looks like they're riding a technical trend line on the way up. So hopefully they can hold this. But if they do end up falling below this trend, I might actually be pretty bearish on them given the news.
yeah, me too. All right, well, now let's get right into our Discord member of the day. Today's member of the day is It's a Me Mario 20. So he posted in the Profits channel saying, as a beginner, after making a lot of mistakes, I've learned a few things. Never be greedy and get into a stock when it's at all-time highs. He did research on the companies and followed the forecast script that we have in TradingView, and he made a great trade on the 17th. So he grew his account by about 10%. So great job, Mario. Keep up the great work and keep us posted. So great job overall. But let's get right into our momentum plays for tomorrow. And the first one is Intel to the downside. So Tom, before we get into the chart, what's going on with Intel, like their news?
Yeah, they've actually been losing tons of contracts lately, and they had lost an Apple contract because Apple decided to make their own chips, and now they just lost a Microsoft contract because Microsoft decided to make their own chips. It seems like everybody's getting into the chip making market, and it looks like Intel just loses contract after contract. And while I do like Intel for the long term, I think that in the short term, all these contract losses and stuff can really play a factor into Intel going to the downside. I think that they could easily retest lows here around 43.40 and possibly even go lower than that. So I personally let go of my long-term Intel position whenever it hit $50. I had bought in down here around 44 and I ended up selling up here around 50 just because of the news with all the contracts. And man, I'm glad I did with the pullback they have.
Yeah, so like, what are you thinking for the long term? You think like they're gonna suffer in the short term and then eventually rebound, or what are your thoughts?
I'll be honest. I think that for a couple of years they might be hurting for a couple of years here off of this. I think that they've lost these contracts are pretty big. Apple was a huge one with those MacBooks, and then Microsoft might be even bigger with all the PCs and stuff that use Windows 10. That's a huge contract and partnership that they had with Microsoft. I think that this might just be the nail in the coffin for them. If anything, I would start to look at them maybe going to the upside in a year or two, but I think over the next year, they might just see a lot of red and a lot of downwards movement.
Gotcha. So okay, so for the momentum play on this for tomorrow, what levels should we be watching?
Just make them fall below 47 even.
All right, and then we have QS.
QS, make them go ahead and hit above 73.76.
All right, and then we have CRWD.
CrowdStrike, make them hit above 207.
They are exploding. Wow.
Yeah, in after hours, and I love how they closed up at those highs. That's a very strong close, and they broke the high in after hours.
Yep, and then you know the last one already, Tesla.
Tesla, make them pop above 695, and hopefully that volume from those funds can bring this up Monday morning. And I think that's going to be a very interesting thing to see. And I hopefully we can see this because I obviously in the future this might happen again with another company. So this would be a good insight for that.
Gotcha. So we are eyeing Intel potentially to the downside for a day trade only if it can break below the level Tom listed. And we are eyeing QS, CRWD, and Tesla potentially to the upside only if they can break above the level Tom listed. So the unusual options activity for tomorrow are the Tesla 850 strike call options that expire on December 24th. There was about $9.3 million put into this play right here. Looking at Tesla, Tesla is only at about 677, and these are the 850 strike calls. So I really think they are shorting these options. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would really think that they were shorting them as well. And with all this stuff going on with Tesla, it's just one of those things to where like the implied volatility and everything had shot up. So I think that this will definitely be a good opportunity for them to short these calls. And at the same time, they might be covered calls, which would be even better for them as they would get to sell their stock at 850 if it does hit there.
True. So what are your thoughts on Tesla for this week?
For this week, man, I'll be honest, I don't know which way it's going to go. I would think, honestly, it might stay a little bit neutral slash slightly to the upside. I'm not sure. I don't see them really exploding up to 850 or 800 or anything like that. But I think that it could happen just given the news with all these funds and stuff like that. But my big thing is that I think that a lot of the majority right now is looking at Tesla to go to the upside. So I think that might actually make Tesla go to the downside, as I see a lot of the times the market likes to go against the majority, or at least the majority of traders. Maybe not the majority of money, but the majority of traders.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have like an unpopular opinion here. Looking at Tesla, like you look back in history on all these very highly hyped up events like Battery Day, like some of their earnings, and just either like other like big events for Tesla. and a good amount of those times Tesla ends up falling. Now, obviously, being added into the S&P 500 is a huge accomplishment. That's amazing for the stock, right? And I love Tesla for the long term, but I'm not really. I don't see like some. I see some people on YouTube and some people in Discord and on Facebook saying Tesla's going to hit $800 this week. Tesla's going to hit $1,000 this week. It's going to hit $2,000 next month. You know what I mean? Like there's just so much hype behind it, and just like my first instinct when I hear all of these just crazy predictions is, it could obviously go the other way too. And seeing how hyped up Tesla is, I really wouldn't doubt if we see a pullback. Now, does that mean Tesla's going to be red tomorrow? No, it does not mean that. But, I can definitely see Tesla having, a couple more green days and then really turning over and pulling back. But overall, with that being said, I do like Tesla for the long term. But I just think there's just too much hype. And, they can definitely keep going up for a couple more days. But I can definitely see a pullback sometime soon. And the best way to capitalize off that is, you can buy puts, but they can be expensive. But the best way to go would be a call credit spread. So we will definitely see what happens. So
Yeah, and I agree. I think that Tesla is definitely due for a pullback, and I think that this news might be a good opportunity for that to actually happen.
yeah, we will see. So with the first question, we have Outlaw saying, what's your opinion on HL? Thank you. So let's take a look. So normally I don't trade stocks this low. It is a gold mining stock. Looking at a max weekly chart, I can see that they have a good history of bouncing off that $1 support level, but they also have a lot of pretty high resistances in the past. So Tom, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I like it because gold's going up, but just because gold's going up doesn't mean it's going to keep going up. And I think that you should make HL go ahead and pass above possibly this $7 mark or $7.50. I think that would be a better trade rather than buying right now at these resistances around $7. I just think that it would be better to buy once it breaks, given how low the stock is in price. But one thing to keep in mind is that gold has really risen over the past couple of years. So if I go to the a weekly chart on gold here, you can see how gold was 600 back in '09 or 800 an ounce back in 2009. Now we're at around 2000 an ounce here in 2020, 2021. So I would definitely almost watch out for a gold pullback here. It has slightly pulled back over the past couple months, but gold really ran up this year, so I would watch for a little bit of a pullback. And one thing to keep in mind is the HL is so low in price that if you buy in right here, it could fall 50% if gold only falls $200 an ounce. This mining stock might fall 50%. So just keep in mind it's a very volatile stock, and I personally wouldn't put a lot of money in this for the long term unless I was buying in down there by that $1 mark.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a trade, like Tom said, wait for it to break above that resistance. But if you have done a ton of research on this company and you know so much about it and you love it for the long term, there's really no wrong time to buy. But of course, you have to do your research for that. With the next question, we have a celebrity saying, so which one should we invest now? Give your suggestions for near options, medium far out options, and far options. So right now, I don't love too many setups in the market besides the ones we're talking about in this video. A general rule of thumb is when you're getting options, is you want to get as far in the money as possible with as much time as possible for as cheap as possible. So those are the three main things when looking for options. You want to get as far in the money as possible for as cheap as possible, like in regards to how much you're paying for the option, and you want to have as much time as possible. Like that really overall just gives you a very quality options contract. And yeah, so Tom, do you have any specific options you're looking at? Because right now, just with the market being at all-time highs and then this still uncertainty of a stimulus deal, like there's really no options like I love right now. I mean, I really like the financial sector with JP Morgan, Bank of America, and other bank stocks, but would you have anything?
You know, the big thing that I've been watching, a couple stocks that I've been day trading lately a lot have been SPCE just because of that news that they've been having about their rocket engines and stuff. It has not been moving with the market just because of all the other news that they have. So you can play SPCE with their own news, but keep in mind they're a pretty risky stock. But another one that I really like is Boeing. I think that Boeing has had some amazing options to play over the past few months, and Boeing's always been pretty liquid for options, but I do like them, and they are starting to have some downwards momentum here. And I might watch for a possible bounce off of this 210 to 211 support here, maybe back to the upside. But mostly I'm just going to be watching Boeing this week and possibly looking to trade Boeing. I think that they have pretty good options, and I do like the way their stock moves, and it moves pretty fluidly. So I don't think that the market's going to affect Boeing too much, but I think that if we do see a stimulus package get passed, I think that that will definitely help Boeing and make them possibly go back to the upside, just because the travel industry and everything like that needs that package to get done.
For sure. With the next question, we had Piper saying, can you guys talk about SPCE for the short term? So, Tom, this is your stock. What's going on with it?
Yeah, this is an awesome stock here. I like SPCE, but just keep in mind that they go up and they go down just like any other company. And they really went down here off of that test flight failure that they had a few weeks ago, maybe a week ago. And I think that just watch out, because they're going to do another test flight eventually. And if that is successful, they could go back up. But just keep in mind that if that test flight also goes bad, that their stock could really fall down. And I was telling you guys that it was going to be all about that test flight for this stock. So if the flight went good, I could see them popping and breaking new highs, and if it went bad, I could see them pulling back, and it ended up going bad and pulling back. So really, I think that we're getting to a decent spot possibly to start buying some shares for the long term. I'm actually going to be eyeing up the $20 level to buy some shares. I'm not sure that we're going to actually hit that level or not, but hopefully we get pretty close so I can pick up some shares pretty low. But I think that in the short term, this stock is looking pretty red, especially on a daily chart. I'm not sure that I see it popping back up this week unless they do have a successful test flight. I really don't see any good upwards movement in this stock until they have a test flight that is successful.
Gotcha. With the next question, we had Nate saying, how about Wish tomorrow? I'm thinking it will be around $25 a share soon. So WISH. Yeah, they're only just under 24 right now, and they hit highs of around $24.75 on Friday. So I think it's definitely possible to see $25 a share pretty soon. IPOs are extremely volatile, and that can be good and bad, but I can definitely see it hitting $25 pretty soon too. So, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or any insight for the market for tomorrow?
I know that we'd already kind of talked about this and we made a video about it on Friday, but these bank stocks are really running, and you can see Bank of America all the way up to $30 in after hours on Friday on the news that Congress is going to allow them to actually do share buybacks again, which is awesome for Bank of America, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. It's great for all the bigger banks, and especially the smarter ones that kept cash aside and stuff like that, because now they're going to be able to use a lot of that cash for these share buybacks, because they kept that cash aside for the virus. And if they didn't use up all that cash, now it's just going to be sitting there. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities for banks. And if we look at the long-term charts here, like the max daily, Bank of America is at $29 right now pretty much, and they had highs of around $34. So that's about a $5 move. You could get back to the upside to pre-virus levels, and I think that's a pretty good opportunity, especially on some of these bank stocks like JP Morgan and Bank of America that are generally in the past have done pretty well through market collapses and stuff. I'm not saying they've done fantastic, but
Right.
generally they end up recovering back over a couple of years.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Tom and I really appreciate your comments, likes, and all the new subscribers. If you guys want to trade the same options as Tom and I every single week, plus access to the machine learning bot and the options order flow bot, you can click the Stocked Up Options Alerts link in the description down below. And again, we really appreciate all of the people who leave comments on each video. It really helps grow our channel, and Tom and I really appreciate it. So thank you guys so much for that. If you guys are new here, don't forget to subscribe. And like I said, any questions, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.